Hello and welcome to a new video. I am Reddit Asks You, and today we are getting into some am I the arsehole? Let's get into the stories. And in the comments let us know your opinions. Am I the butthole for including both my daughters? From Toan Pendant 5129. My husband and I have two daughters, Jenny 14 and Tara 15. Tara was extremely sick. I won't get into details for privacy, but we went through hell. For 2 years I had to be in the hospital all the time, and my husband had to work 2 jobs to be able to pay for the hospital. We decided that the best thing to do for Jenny would be to send her to live with my MIL, who lives in another city. She is the only close family we have. We were trying to give Jenny a normal life, otherwise she would spend all her time in a hospital like us. Now that Tara is better, things are a lot better, and we asked Jenny to come back home and she was glad to do so. However, she only ever spends time with her dad, never with me or Tara, and she never says why she doesn't want to spend time with us. Not just that, she also actively bullies Tara any chance she gets. Last night her dad managed to convince her to go out to dinner with me. Tara and I got ready and we were waiting for Jenny. She came out of her room and saw us there, turned to my husband and said she changed her mind and went back to her room. I followed her and asked what's wrong. She started screaming at me, asking me if I have to include Tara in everything. She accused me of not enjoying spending my time with her and bringing Tara so that I could spend time with Tara and pretend to like Jenny. I told her this is not true and I was just trying to have a girls' night with both of my daughters, but she screamed at me to get out and called me an asshole and other names. Edit: I'm making this edit to explain some things. It's clear that none of you ever had to look after a sick child. You keep asking me why I didn't visit, as if I could just leave her alone. Yes, alone, because my husband was at work all the time. How could I do that? I did everything I could. I called Jenny almost every day and I tried to be involved in her life as much as possible. Now she is trying to make sure Tara is neglected and I should just do it? Tara was sick for 2 years. She is finally starting to have a normal life and I should just neglect her like her dad? And what is the point really? Talking from experience, Jenny would be on her phone ignoring me the entire time. This way at least I had someone to talk to when Jenny was so busy ignoring me. I love her, I know she is just a kid, but I expected her to be a bit more mature than this. I'm just so tired of everything. I'll talk to Jenny and plan to get dinner just the two of us another night and see if she is willing. However, I will never give in to all her demands and neglect Tara because of her, which is what my husband is doing. Am I the butthole for installing cameras in my own house? From loud_reality_7618. Me, 29M, and my GF, 28F, live together and we both don't like having people in our house. I made it very clear to her that I was uncomfortable having people in our house when I moved in with her last year after catching her having a GF over without telling me. Especially since I wasn't there. Last week we got in an argument, says she's not in the mood to fight and leaves without telling me anything. I was mad. In the heat of the moment I text her saying, "Whose place are you going to? You can just stay there now." I apologized for that later. 5 minutes later, she shows up with a girlfriend in the house. I was pissed. She knows how I feel. That's when I bought 2 security cameras for the safety of my belongings, since she brought someone in the house. When I informed her, she kept prying why buy new ones when we have the Ring system in a drawer. But I had already ordered on Amazon and I thought it was the end of story. She said she feels like she's being spied on and was uncomfortable that she wouldn't have access to. I told her that makes me trust her less. She shouldn't feel spied on if she has nothing to hide, but they were going up regardless. After installing, she brings it up again and we have this back and forth. M equals me and H equals her. H: so, you chose to buy a cheap $75 camera when you complain every week about having no extra money, and we have the newest Ring camera you could install. It has better features, cheaper pricing and longer battery. M: no, I'm keeping my camera up. They are already up. H: could you tell me your thought process to help me make logic of it? Seems like a loss for you all around. M: I don't know anything about that Ring camera. You never put it up, so I had to get one to put up. H: you know nothing of either one, but you know you're always welcome to whatever is here. Should have asked. Why you're making a big deal? You said you didn't even want the camera up. Yeah, but you did anyways, so you might as well have a better one we already have. Fine. I'll take the camera down. Seems odd to change your mind just because I bring up a logical suggestion. You want yours up so you can do it. That seems childish. You want it up, I offered an upgrade. Chill and grow up. I go take mine down and tune her out because she starts calling me stubborn and controlling. So I just went to bed because I only had 10 hours to sleep before work because of her talking. Now she's calling me an and slept on the couch. Aita? Edit, I ended up giving her access and camera is of front door only. Am I the butthole for not splitting my daughter's college fund? From AITA College Fund Mom. When my 42F daughter, 17F, was 7, we lost her father to an avoidable accident. Due to that and the subsequent settlement, my daughter was able to have a trust fund of sorts that provided for college, grad school if she wanted, and even some left over for whatever life might bring. It is money that, managed wisely, would enable her to have a head start in life. She knows about this and has never taken for granted given where the money came from. After all, we'd both rather have her father around than the money. That said, life moves on and I remarried 6 years after my former husband's passing to a lovely man who has 2 children of his own, 17F, 13M. All of the children live with us primarily with his children seeing their mother on vacations as she lives across the country. This year, both our girls are graduating and should be headed to college. My daughter was admitted ED to her dream school last year and is ecstatic about it. Her father is an alumnus and she has this old sweatshirt of his that she kept to remind her of him. She cried so much when she got in and both her stepfather and I were proud of her because she worked hard to get in. My stepdaughter will also be attending a wonderful school that is one of the top-ranked schools for her interests. The problem now arises with the money to pay for SD school. Because her parents cannot afford to pay the tuition in its entirety, SD will have to take some loans. All told, she will graduate with about $40,000 in loans, which I think is still quite modest for the school she's attending and her earning prospects post-graduation. But my daughter will graduate debt-free, and for my husband this is suddenly a problem. He wants us to split up my daughter's fund between all 3 kids because then they could all, probably, have college fully paid for. My daughter won't have much left over and will definitely need to borrow for grad school, which she has expressed interest in attending, but, according to my husband, that's okay because everyone will start off on an equal footing post-college. I think this is unfair to my daughter because 1, her father had to die for this money and 2, this is like her inheritance from him. My husband thinks that they are all siblings and she should be happy to share the money with them if it means giving her siblings a head start in life. I absolutely do not want to put her in the position of being guilted into saying yes if she doesn't want to. I have expressed all of this to my husband and he thinks that I'm being selfish, that I'm teaching my daughter to be selfish, and I obviously don't consider my SKs the same as my daughter. AITA for wanting to protect my daughter's trust for her as it was intended? ETA. Since I've seen this a few times already, both kids do have college funds but somewhat smaller because my husband and his ex got their finances together later in life. So there is some money, but with the caliber/COA of the school that SD will be attending, she will still need some loans to cover costs. I haven't brought up going to a cheaper school because that will be a fresh set of problems given where my daughter will be matriculating. Am I the butthole for pay for my daughter's college tuition but not for my son's college next year? From responsible_pi_6891. I am 38, have 2 sons, 17 and 15, with my ex-wife, 38. My ex and I were together for 8 years before we got divorced when the kids had 7 and 5 years old. The circumstances of my divorce are complicated. After the divorce we got shared custody for a while that changed to her having the kids on weekdays and me having them on weekends when I had to move out far from their school. Still we had a relationship, although my relationship with my boys was severely damaged by the divorce. They told me they didn't like to be with me because I made their mom cry. 5 years after the divorce I met someone new who a year later became my wife, F35. She was a single mom of a daughter, F18. After that, my kids started to complain more and more about coming home with me when I picked them up, to the point they would only get in the car if I have brought them something. My ex took the opportunity to get back to me, and she encouraged the kids to tell the judge that they didn't like to be with me and to suspend my days with them. Apparently, they said that the kids couldn't get used to the idea of having a stepmom. The judge took my custody days off. I had to visit them in my ex's house if I wanted to see them. My kids said to my face that they hated me and hoped to never see me again multiple times. My wife and I have one son, him 3, and I feel like my stepdaughter is my biological one, and she feels like I'm her dad too. We have a great relationship. She's the kindest girl ever. She's starting college next September. I offered to pay for her tuition and have already paid her first semester. Somehow my son found out about that, and he came to my house after years to ask me how much money I have, because he needs to know before starting looking for colleges. He's graduating next year. I asked him what made him think that I'm paying for his college. He said that he already knew I paid for stepdaughter's one. I told him that I'm not paying for his college tuition and that he shouldn't expect me to after ignoring me for years. I told him that after he turns 18, which will happen before he graduates, he'll have his dream come true. I'll disappear from his life. Unless he apologizes, that's what will happen. He called me all kind of names. Then he must have told my ex, because she came to my house to insult me and my wife too. I had to call the cops. What makes me think that I'm an asshole is that my ex called me petty, and maybe she's right. It's kind of petty to do this to a kid. He probably doesn't know what's better for himself, or doesn't have had lived enough to appreciate the things I've done for him. Edit, the causes of my divorce are: my ex was abusive towards me. I consider myself a DV survivor. I cheated on her, not with my current wife, but with another woman. I tried to push charges against my ex, but the police didn't believe me, neither did the divorce judge when I told him, so that I could win the custody of my kids, as she was dangerous. I did fought for custody but never won. I visited them in their mom's house, but most times she won't let me in. I'm not rich, I can't just give up thousands of dollars. I say this because some people told me to just give him the money, as it'll do no harm even if he still wants to be in C with me. Am I the butthole for not wanting to let my friend have my wedding dress? I, 32F, am 16 weeks pregnant with my first child. My husband Howie, 36M, and I are very excited for this child, especially after having an early miscarriage back in September. One of my biggest fears is weight gain. I'm already not small, but not huge either. I'm smaller than the average-sized American woman, but could lose about 10 to 20 pounds to give you an idea. I was already concerned about my weight before I got pregnant, so now the idea of losing my pre-pregnancy weight on top of whatever I gain now is stressful. Howie wants to lose weight, too. We decided to pick an outfit we'd like to try to fit in again after the baby arrives to meet our weight goal. Howie chose the outfit from the day we met, and I chose my wedding dress from our April 2022 wedding. My friend May, 34F, is getting married to her fiancé Joe, 37M, in September of this year. I've gone with her dress shopping a couple of times, but she hasn't been able to find one that she likes. I discovered over the weekend that the dress she actually wanted was mine, and she was looking for one similar but couldn't find it. May then asked me if she could borrow mine. I said don't want my dress altered for any reason because it's mine, and I made a lot of customizations to it. It truly is my dress, and no one has one like it. But May told me she's in a bind because there's not much time to order a dress and have it altered in the time for her wedding. I felt bad but told her no. I don't want anyone wearing it, period. May kept pressing about it, and I also told her it wasn't just because it's mine but because of the weight loss idea my husband and I had. May is 2 wedding dress sizes larger than me. I also have an hourglass figure where May is more shaped like an apple. No insults, but it's just how she looks. Plus, my dress still fits me. I'm just anticipating it won't after giving birth, and I want to make that my weight loss outfit. If I let her borrow it, it would have to be altered so much that it wouldn't be mine anymore. May told me I had an entire wardrobe to choose from and no one fits their dress after a few years, anyway. She also said that baby weight usually doesn't go away, she has 2 kids, and that I should be thinking about her wedding. I still said no. But a few minutes ago, I got a text from Howie asking me if I agreed to give her my dress. I said no, and Howie sent me a screenshot from Joe saying Howie can bring my dress over when he gets off work and thank me for being so generous. So it sounds to me like May told Joe I agreed when I didn't. Now Joe is angry because he thinks I changed my mind. Howie told him I never agreed. Now May is texting me, asking why I'm so attached to a dress and saying I'm not being a good friend because I'm more interested in a material item than her happiness. But I feel like this is self-explanatory. It's my dress. The end. Am I insane? Am I the butthole for bringing my baby to the hotel resort my brother was getting married in? From Throwaway. My brother was getting married, and it was a child-free wedding per future sales request. The wedding was out of state, so my husband and I were going to make it into a 3-day weekend. We had a sitter lined up months ago. The day before we were set to leave, she had to cancel for a family emergency. We tried to find a last-minute sitter that we trusted and could also do just overnight, but came up empty. I tried calling and texting my brother about the situation but couldn't get hold of him. We were both in the wedding party and I didn't want to leave my brother and his soon-to-be wife in a bind. So I called my mother after that since I knew she was with them. I explained the situation and she said she'd call me back after talking to him. 4 hours passed and we didn't hear back. We had to make a decision, and since we are currently sharing one vehicle, couldn't really leave my husband and kid without a vehicle, and had put a lot of money already into the wedding and trip, we just took our baby with us. We got there later than we originally planned and just went to our room. The next afternoon was the wedding, and my husband and I planned to swap time out. I'd go the ceremony and part of the reception while he stayed with the baby, and he could attend the second half the reception while I stayed with the baby. When the ceremony was over and we were heading inside to the reception, my husband had the baby inside in her stroller. I joined my husband and went to say hello to some family members, and went with him to congratulate my brother and new Asael. Husband said his hellos and congrats, then went back to our room with our child. I left the reception area a few times to bring my husband some small plates of food so he didn't have to wait for his turn to eat. On one of my trips back, my brother spoke with me about it being a child-free wedding, and his wife was upset that my husband had the baby in the lobby and that I kept leaving the reception. I told him they can't be too upset because we didn't bring the baby into the wedding area or the reception. The rest of the time I was at the reception, I kept getting comments from who I'm guessing were Asael's family and her bridesmaids about how I was trying to steal her thunder by having my baby there. Asael kept asking why I didn't just leave them at home and would not accept my reason for not doing so. It's been a sore spot for my family and her all weekend. Am I an a-hole for bringing the baby with us? Am I the butthole for not allowing my family into my house? From Numbers. I, 34F, am throwing Super Bowl get party at my house for my extended family today. My mother-in-law and my brother-in-law and his children were carpooling to my house. I told them my husband and I's party was going to start at 6. This morning I texted them to ask what time they would be over here by. They didn't respond the whole day, and they just came over at 5 p.m. unannounced. I refused to let them in, since I wasn't ready and they weren't invited at that time. My mill demanded to be let in and argued that it was cold out. It wasn't that cold, it was 45 degrees. I told them my house, my rules, and that they should go out and eat or something and come back in an hour. When they refused, my husband and I said I would call the police if they wouldn't leave willingly. My brother-in-law left in a huff. When 6 rolled around, they didn't come back, and my brother-in-law just left a snarky message saying that they were going to watch the Super Bowl at his house instead. Now my extended family won't speak to me. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe for more Reddit comment videos. Check the description for the original post from Reddit. Good luck to everyone today.